So in this video, we are going to be focused on the Rguroo applications for binomial distributions. I highly recommend, if you have not watched the lecture on 7.4 first, that you go ahead and do so you know exactly what constitutes a binomial distribution. All right, let's get started. Assume the random variable x has a binomial distribution with the given probability of obtaining a success. Find the following probability given the number of trials, n, and the probability of obtaining a success, P. Round your answer to 4 decimal places. Okay, so when we're in Rguroo, let's head over there now. We are going to come down here to the probability and simulation area. Drop down your probability menu, and the very first thing is a probability calculator where you'll see the options to choose from continuous or discrete. Chapter 7 is all about discrete distributions. After Chapter 7, we will solely be talking about continuous distributions. But for now, let's focus on the discrete. Okay, so this is what the discrete probability calculator looks like. Now, in 7.4, we won't necessarily need to switch the modes at all, but I do want to bring your attention to them because as we move on to the next chapter, we will very much need to make sure our calculator is in the correct mode. So you'll see here that there's an arrow between values and probability indicating what the calculator is calculating for you. So whatever the arrow is pointing to is what you're expecting to be getting as the result in this gray bar here. So here it's pointing towards probability, which means that when we click our eyeball, we will have a probability in this gray box. And in future sections, we will have to change the mode because we will already know the probability and we will need to find specific values associated with that probability. Okay, so make a conscious effort to know that if the question's asking you to find a probability that you're in the right mode so that you're prepared for future sections when that is going to be critical. Notice that the default distribution in this calculator is a binomial, as it's the most popular discrete distribution that is worked with. There are other distributions here, but we will not be working with any of these other than the discrete uniform, which is what you worked with in 7.3, but it does not require the use of Rguroo. Okay, so the only things we need to fill in are this area here, n, number of trials, p, probability of success, and this is where we describe the count for the number of successes that a particular experiment is looking for. So let's recall, in this example, our n is 19 and our probability of success is 0.8. So let's type that in. We need to look at what's the count. The count they want is x equals 14. Okay, so if I come over here, I am going to select the equal option and I'm going to type 14 and I'm going to click my eyeball. And here I have the probability of exactly 14 in the situation occurring. So that would be a 16% chance. Okay, it asked me to round to 4 decimal places. So I count out to 4, look at the fifth to help me round. It's a 5 and above, so therefore this will get rounded to 0.1637. And we get that really exciting green bar. Okay, so let's try another one. Assume the random variable x has a binomial distribution with the given probability of obtaining a success. Find the following probability. Again, that is so important because find the following probability tells us what mode to put our calculator in. So we will want to make sure that the arrow is pointing to probability. Given the number of trials and the probability of obtaining a success. Round our answers. Got it. Okay, again, it's explicitly written. Not all of them will be. We will cover some where the word problems you have to kind of dig and find out where the n, p, and x are. So we have n equals 5 and p equals 0.3. Let's type those in. N equals 5. Probability of success 0.3. Notice I don't need to refresh the screen, change it. It works like a calculator, so I could just place in the new numbers. Okay. And now I need to represent that x is less than or equal to 2. So in Rguroo, below represents the less than and above represents the greater than. So I need less than or equal to, And that's where this little checkbox comes in. Notice when I hover my mouse over the checkbox, it says it includes the value. Essentially, that means it's the equal to sign. If I wanted this to be strictly less than, I would have to unselect that box so that this is just below. So this box selected means below or equal to. And if the number was at 2. Okay, so let's put a 2 in here and hit our eyeballs to get a new calculation. And we see that this is our probability of this situation occurring. So 0.8369. Yay! Moving on. Now we are faced with a situation where N, P, and X are not explicitly written. So we do have to do a bit of critical thinking. And I would like to warn you to be careful. They love switching up the words by giving you the probability of one situation and asking you to find the count of another, which means you have to calculate the complementary probability. Hopefully I can find a problem to show you that. Let's see what this one says. A researcher wishes to conduct a study of the color preferences of new car buyers. Suppose that 50% of this population prefers the color blue. If 12 buyers are randomly selected, what is the probability that exactly a fourth of the buyers would prefer blue? Okay, remember, in order to calculate this probability, we need N, the number of total trials that are participating in the study, or in this case, the number of total buyers. So N, 12. Okay, so you know what? Let's start typing it in as we find them. We have 12 total buyers in this scenario. Then we need the probability of success. But in order to decide what the success is, you need to know what the focus of the study is. So I come over here and it says, what is the probability? Oh, that's my mode of my calculator. So I would make sure that my mode is pointing to probability. That exactly a fourth of the buyers prefer blue. Okay, so the fact that they are looking for those that prefer blue is the classification of the success. And therefore, this probability, 50% that is referencing preferring blue, is my probability of success. So I'm going to come over here and put in 0.5 as my probability. And now I have to translate exactly 1/4 of the buyers. Okay, first there is a little hidden math here. We have to find out what is 1/4 of 12. So to do that, we have to multiply 1/4 times 12. I'm going to head over here and use the calculator inside of our Rguroo to do that. Makes it easier. So 1 divided by 4 times 12 is 3. Essentially, I was just dividing 12 by 4, but I wanted to show you how to do it in case the division was not that straightforward. And for some of you, this may have not been straightforward at all. A lot of us may have had a very large gap between now and when we learned fractions. Okay, so we're talking about exactly 3 buyers. We now need to translate the word exactly. Does that translate to an equal sign, less than or equal to, less than, greater than or equal to, or strictly greater than? There is a conversion chart that I posted in the beginning of chapter 4. You'll find a PDF that lists a bunch of English translations with their associated inequalities. So please reference that chart if you struggle to translate inequality language. Okay, so 1/4 of the buyers, we know that's exactly 3. The word exactly is not an inequality. It means equal to 3. Okay, so we're coming back to our Rguroo. I'm going to notice again, these tabs tell me what I've done so far. I'm going to come back to my calculator and I'm going to select the equal to 3 and hit my eyeball. Okay, so my probability is 0.0537. Yay! All right, let me look for one where they have the probability opposite of what they're looking for so I can show you what I mean when I said that. Let's see. Nope, I don't want that one. Another translating one. I want a translating. Oh, watch me not get one in my practice. Let's see. Oh, shoot. I know it's in there. I've seen the problem. So let me try again and see if it'll come up this time in my practice. It does swap out your practice problems every time that you try. Selling. Just give me a moment. They're paired. My goodness, I am not getting that coming up in my practice, and I know those questions come up. Shoot. Okay, so I'll just have to talk about the problem that I'm referencing. Let's do one more though before we close this off. So hold on, let me get back to one of those problems. Maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe this go around I'll actually get one. Doesn't look like it. So let's do this one, okay? And I'll talk about what could happen in your homework. So a real estate agent has 17 properties. She feels that there's a 40% chance of selling any one of the properties during a week. The chance of selling any property is independent of selling another property. Remember, that's one of the qualifications for a binomial. Your trials have to be independent of each other. Compute the probability of selling more than 5 properties in a week and round your answer. Okay, so some of the problems, this again matches what they're looking for, which is selling properties, matches the probability that's given, the chance of selling properties. But if this said 40% chance of selling properties, as it does, and then they said, what's the probability that she will not sell more than 5 properties? You see how those are opposite. So this probability would not associate with the calculating something that's not happening. And therefore you would have to find the complement to 40%. So you would subtract 100 minus 40, which would give you 60% chance of her not selling a particular property. So I'm sorry that I couldn't find an example that actually demonstrated the complementary rule, but there are some that can pop up in your practice and your certify. All right, let's go ahead and complete this problem to finish this up. So first off, we take a look at what is the number of trials, and that would be the total of 17 properties. So in my calculator, I'm going to change my number of trials to 17. And then again, I'm going to say, what is the mode of my calculator? It asked me to compute a probability, so I'll make sure my mode is pointing to probability. And it's focused on selling. So my probability of success of selling is paired up here. That's 40%. Let's change that. And they want me to find more than 5. Okay, so more than 5 is a strictly greater than sign. So I'm going to select above. I am going to unselect this box because that would be greater than or equal to, but that's not what they want. They want strictly more than 5 properties. So more than 5 means that she sold 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or 12 all the way up to or 17. It is all those probabilities added up as a cumulative probability of what would be the chances of her selling more than 5. We hit our eyeball and we get that probability. It seems to be quite likely. All right, I hope this video was helpful for using the binomial distribution calculator in Rguroo with your Hawks homework.